All right, Flesh and Blood, Commoner Vodcast, episode 22.
Yep.
And one of, I think, at least my favorite videos to do, which is looking at brand new cards. Which we were going to do before Dynasty came out, but the spoilers were very slow when it came to commons, which is all of the cards we care about.
Yeah. And I mean, there are still a couple cards that haven't been shown, even though
Yes,
hasn't
these
the
two.
set been released?
It has. I would hazard a guess that these are probably these two right here, because I think it's the only ones.
Oh, there were
if I
two
remember.
more.
Were there two more?
I think
okay.
so.
Okay.
One was either, I think it was for Runeblade, and I don't remember the other one.
I would hazard a guess based on where these are that these are probably Marvels, would be my guess. I think that's what was missing from Uprising as well.
Okay.
Was I think it was Marvel printings that they're missing a couple of them. So I have a feeling these are not unique cards, that they're probably somewhere else here. And they're probably Draconics. Like maybe this is like a second version of Emperor that's either less fancy or more fancy. I don't know. Could be something like that.
The other cards that were missing were in between rare and majestic, so it still probably doesn't matter to us unless they're a weapon.
That's kind of where this is too. The only way this would be a problem is if these are rare weapons.
Right.
Or equipment, because it would come higher than these, but be a lower rarity. So, what we're going to do is just look at the cards, talk about them. We might talk about some of the Majestic and Legendary cards if we feel like it, but they're obviously pretty irrelevant to the one format we primarily play.
But yeah, we can figure out which ones are going to be worth more, and you know that we can sell to buy all the commoner cards.
yeah, exactly,
really
right.
need.
Yeah, that we can turn into piles and piles of commoner decks. I don't think we really need to talk about Emperor, other than to say I'm sad we didn't get him.
Yep.
But we dedicated an entire episode to talking about this card and building a deck around it in Commoner. So I think we've probably said all that needed to be said.
Yeah.
It may obviously change a little bit now that there's new Warrior cards and Wizard cards, but I don't think it's really worth going into.
And Royal cards.
That is true. Although I think all the Royal cards are not Commoner. I'd have to see. I don't remember.
There might have been one.
And those weren't under generic, right? Those were their own separate category.
I think there were with the... I don't remember.
I don't know.
They were towards the end.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually, I guess. And then all the rest of this is Majestic. So, yeah. All right, so that was Draconic. I am so sad we don't get this. I forgot. I wanted to talk to you about this one.
I saw
how fantastic is that they made a brute weapon
that
is just a rock.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. I keep forgetting, and every time I've checked this page to see if the spoilers were fully released, I saw the rock every time, and I love it. I love that it literally is classified as a rock, too, which makes it so much worse, because now you can't use, like, club and hammer things on it, like pummel.
Oh, it is?
It is a rock. It's literally a rock.
Wow, okay.
But it's just so great from a flavorful standpoint.
I don't think it needs any boosts anyways.
It is a ton of damage.
It's a ton of damage, and it's like unblockable.
Yeah,
right?
it can't be prevented.
Yes, that's what it is.
Oh, but you have to have
Can't
no
be
cards in
prevented.
your hand. Okay.
Yeah.
And it does cost 3, but I mean 7 damage that can't be prevented is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish we got to use it, but at the same time, it is a very, very powerful card that, is probably fair to not put in the commoner.
So it can't be prevented, but it can be blocked, right?
I believe yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
Just based on the wording of it.
I think so. I think it only prevents it from being prevented. I'd have to look up how blocking counts. I don't think blocking counts as preventing damage.
Right. I think there
it's
are
just
cards that
absorbing
specifically say prevent.
Yeah,
blood
like
damage or whatever.
quelling and all that. So just one more reason for Helios Mitra to be a bad card.
Yep.
We do get brute legs now if you want to use a rare slot on it. There is some concerns with that in the sense that if you want the Arcane Lantern option for your brute, you're also costed into a rare weapon to go with it, because the only one-handed brute weapons are rare.
Right, and I kind of like the other brute legs anyways, the ones for Levia.
Oh, for Levia, sure. The Levia
Okay.
ones are good. I will say, outside of Levia, having us building that one brute, but then also playing some other brutes, their leg options really are bad.
I could believe it, yeah.
Now, I didn't see what this one does. So it's battle worn. That's nice right off the bat.
It just gives you an action point.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's like the Shadow Hooves, but instead of banishing a card, it's off of discarding a card.
Yes.
Okay, that's really good. So yeah, that definitely, if you can do it, I'd have to really look at it to see if it's worth losing Arcane Lantern for
Were
this.
the hooves battle worn?
I don't remember actually.
Now
I want to say yes, but now that you're saying that, I feel like maybe the answer is no. No, they are. They are.
Okay.
Yep. Same thing. One action point. It's just when you banish it rather than when you
Yeah.
when you discard it.
So I mean, this, in all sense, is a more generic brute.
Yes.
Legs.
Yes. And then the hooves are obviously a little bit better than beaten trackers if you are playing Levia because they are common, so they don't cost you a slot. I'd have to really look at whether it is better to have Arcane Lantern or these boots, because you do lose Arcane Lantern to put in these boots. But these boots are exactly what you want as a brute.
Don't you get 2 rare slots?
You do, but the problem is the only one-handed brute weapon is the Mandible Claws, which are rare.
Oh, okay.
So you use both of your rare slots right there on that package. But I mean, like, these boots are fantastic. This is exactly what you want as a brute. Like, I want to say KO, and if you built Rhinar, we would have built him much the same way, just with, like, less dependence on Dominate.
Right.
But I think they were both using Time Skippers, which are not good. They're not great at all. And this is definitely better than Time Skippers by quite a lot.
Well, I think technically it's more on brand for a brute to not use the Arcane Lantern.
I mean, that is true. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
But that is where my Cold Foil Arcane Lantern is currently. It is in my KO deck.
That's funny.
I mean, it could easily go to Old Him next then, but that is where I put it because of all my Arcane Lantern using decks, KO is definitely my favorite. Unless, I mean, Dorinthia might be more my favorite if I did put Arcane Lantern in that one, but that is a question of whether you want Arcane Lantern or 2 Centauri Sabers.
Right.
So, but either way, love these boots. Really, really good. It's just a matter of have to really look at the decks and see if, it's worth losing the Arcane Lantern to put those in. But I can definitely see it. And it frees up a slot too, because now you don't need like Iron Rot or Ironhide.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then you could switch to like Mandible Claws. Oh wait, no, the Buckler is a Guardian offhand. Never mind. I was gonna say the one shot Blade Break shield, but that is a Guardian one. Bunch of Majestics and rares. I'm not particularly interested in any of those myself. No, there's a whole lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Jace. Okay, Madcap Charger. All right, I hate it already. I haven't even read the card. All I did is it's a brute card, so I looked in the bottom left corner and then I saw a 5 for the red. I was like, I hate it.
Yeah, it's kind of not good.
Oh, it really isn't, is it? I mean, the big thing here is it blocks, but I mean, I don't know. So
it would go good in the Shadow Levia because it's not six
it
or more power.
would to a certain degree, except it requires you to discard something with 6 or more power, and I don't have a single one in that.
That is true.
And that's what I was going to say, is that even for that, like, outside of the Halloween Levia deck, I've never used Swing Fist Think Later.
Mm-hmm.
And Swing Fist Think Later is just like, it does 1 less damage than this, but it also has no other requirement. You just discard a card.
Yeah.
And no matter what you discard, doesn't matter, you're going to have go again on it. So for 1 less power in the same cost, I think it's probably worth that more generic thing.
Yeah, it's not a very good card. I don't understand why they even printed it.
I mean, brute players complaining that they didn't get to go again or something, maybe? I don't know. Or KO, because the thing is, KO can't halve your attacks if you don't play any that aren't 6 or more power. I think he only has 6 or more power attacks or doubles them.
Okay, but I mean...
So this will give you consistency by not being a brute.
I guess.
You could have like the 6 power dominates and then hopefully... Oh god, but you're discarding a random card. It's such a mistake.
I like the next card, though.
Well, I like that it starts with 6 power. That's a good one.
It does cost 3.
Okay, but it swings for 9, in theory. If you build your deck right, this is going to usually swing for 9.
Yes.
Okay. I like that.
That is the red, however, which means the yellow and the blue are technically whiffs.
Some issues with...
They still hit hard.
With the curve with that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, 9 damage is a lot. So I could definitely see you getting that into brute decks by just dropping like one of the other red cards. Because I think we had some like red pack hunts in some of our decks or something like that. So
probably.
You could drop that for that, and then you're going up cost, but you're also going up damage by a lot. Rumble grunting. Okay. I'm okay with that. It's not awful.
So it's a boost that's conditional.
It is, but the condition is very easy to meet.
It's fairly easy.
At least outside of like Levia might have a little more trouble with this, but Levia just has better options, I think.
True. It also depends on how you build the deck.
Yeah, you could build her a little bit more like a generic brute and all that. And I mean, she still does discard some cards, but generally speaking, Levia just has better things to do than discard cards like crazy. But I mean, I don't hate this. That it's better than the high roll one, I would say, where you roll the dice, because this is a lot more controllable built off your deck. Although obviously, if you're running copies of this, you are not running 46 power attacks or more, so the possibility is there. And the other problem with this, although again, I do like this card, the problem with this is that you can only play it if you've discarded a card with 6 or more, which means that this has to be in your hand when you're discarding. And so you're playing roulette there, or it's in your arsenal. That's the safe place. Yep. But I do like it. It's a huge pump. You can even run the blue one and you get +2, and that can kind of help fill the curve a little bit.
Yep.
So
it's not a bad card.
And it costs 0. That's the other good thing. So it's that works well with discarding cards. To not have to pay for it.
2 okay cards and a really bad card.
Yes. I would even give this a little bit more
than okay.
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit more on
the red does bring it up a margin.
Yes. And then I do think with Rumble Grunting, I think there's definitely like I might put this in KO.
Okay.
And oh wait, I was gonna say there's a particular card I had in mind to get rid of.
Did you already get rid of it?
No.
Or does
it's Slogism.
Oh.
But KO is running Regurgitating Slog.
Right.
And it's kind of a biggish part of the strategy.
Yeah.
But you could I think that one's running blue and yellow. And I think there's a world in which you could keep one of them, probably the blue, and then replace the yellow with either like a blue or yellow Rumble Grunting.
That makes sense.
And then you still have 2 more to power up your Regurgitating Slugs. It's just going to be a little bit harder to hit it. But yeah, I think there's situations like that in which it'd be good.
And that's all the brute.
Yeah, that's all the brute. On to Guardian, which you and I have already seen one of these cards, but I do love this Steel Braid Buckler. I love it a lot because it blocks for 2, and then it gets to block again for 1. And you and I are both aware of another card coming further on this list in which it might block for more than that, too.
Yep.
But this is something I could definitely see using the rare slot for.
There might be 2 cards that
apply
to this. If I remember
I only saw the one, but...
I like it.
Oh, interesting. I just saw the Majestic Shield, too. That's actually kind of neat, the way that works. That it starts off at only blocking 1, but you can take the counters off of it.
Okay.
I didn't notice that. That's kind of neat. Just from a mechanic standpoint, that's a neat mechanic. But I am much higher on this Steel Braid Buckler than I am on the Brute Legs. And the only reason for that is that I'm trying to think of my old him and the Bravo sideboard we just made. And I think both of them only use a single rare slot.
Okay.
Which means you can have you can pull out the Rotten Buckler and put in Steel Braid Buckler.
Which is
it's worse.
World's worse.
Yeah, it's just strictly worse. Because the one-handed weapon
break, right?
is a common. It is. It's Blade Break 1. So Temper 2 is substantially better.
Yeah. Although it's kind of funny that a shield is labeled as Blade Break.
When the shield breaks, not the blade. well, maybe
it's sharpened.
Maybe you just blocked the third swing of a Talishar with your buckler, and the blade has indeed broken along with your shield.
Okay. Playing
corner
devil's
cases.
Advocate.
Corner cases.
Yeah.
You're playing against Battle Mage Kano. But yeah, so I think this just strictly, I think with all the Guardians, this just strictly replaces, and is now a great argument for, I think we did not include the rare Guardian weapon in the Bravo sideboard, but if we did, now we definitely take it out and put in the Steel Braid Buckler.
I don't even remember what the rare
it was like the sledge.
Is it the single...
Swings. Yeah, it's just like one big swing.
No,
it's a two-hander.
It is two-hander.
Two-hander, yep.
It does like 3 damage or something like that.
No, I think it does. I think it does a lot.
It costs 3.
It costs a lot though. Yeah, it costs like 3 or 4, something like that. It's an absurd cost.
Yeah. I'm blanking it from my memory because it's probably that bad.
I mean, it wasn't awful.
It's horrible.
I think it was less conditional. I think that's why we were thinking about it. But the nice thing with Guardian versus Brute is that for the Arcane Lantern plan that we already had, Guardian just has a common one-handed weapon. It was the one that came with Oldham.
Yep.
So that makes it easy to do. You just flip between Buckler and Arcane Lantern depending on what you're up against. So I love this. I think this is great. It also looks pretty cool too. It definitely looks way better than the rotten old Buckler did.
Definitely.
All right, and then we have a bunch of Majestics and rares. More rares. Okay. That is expensive.
It is expensive. Yep. It does apply to the shield though.
It does, and I will say this is better now.
Oh wait,
considering, well, it doesn't apply to the shield, but it's relevant.
The shield
to the
applies
shield.
to it. Okay.
This is very weird, but I actually don't hate it. I think this is the exact kind of Guardian defense reaction I would put in.
Is it because it costs exactly 6?
Well, so it costs exactly 6, but I just went to look at the blue because I was looking at the red originally, and then I realized that was a mistake. Because if I'm going to put a defense reaction in that's a Guardian one, it's always been the blue one because you want the cost, and I've just not liked the options. This one, as long as you have an offhand or a shield, which is an offhand.
Yeah.
It blocks for 9 and costs 6, which means you're using 3 cards and blocking 9, which is exactly where you need it to be. But it has a couple of advantages over just blocking the 3, and that's that your pitched cards are going to go back into your deck, and you can do this after blocks have been declared. So if it's Dominate, this works on a Dominate attack.
Okay.
So I definitely would put this in. I think this is probably something to put into Bravo in a way. And the other important thing is with Steel Braid Buckler, it does not die instantly now.
Right.
So you have a much higher chance that Shield Wall will still be blocking 9 late in the game. And if you're against a wizard, it will be, but you're also probably not blocking.
Yeah.
But I think this combined with a multiple block shield makes it actually playable. And I do like it. I think we were kind of struggling for blues, so I feel like this could probably find a home.
As a person who doesn't like Guardian because of how much their stuff costs, I still felt this was okay.
Yeah.
Even though it costs 6, which feels
it does, but at least it's not 7.
Yeah.
Or 4 or some uneven number. And again, it does block for the exact amount. Because usually the problem is that you're blocking for less than if you just blocked with those cards.
Yeah.
And so it's really just there for an if they happen to have pump spells or dominate.
Mm-hmm.
And then Reinforced Steel. This is, I think, the one I saw.
Yep. Removes a -1 counter. offhand.
With 2 or less base.
Or 3.
Yeah, so the problem here is
1.
that the blue one is not great then.
Yeah.
Because it's 1 or less base.
Yes.
So it will never work on steel braid buckler.
No. I don't know what it will. Maybe the...
wait, no, it's only offhand too.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, so you can't use it on the helmet.
But you'd be able to use it on the iron rod? I mean, the rotten buckler, maybe?
Yeah, but that breaks. I think when the combat chain closes too.
But I think that's...
you have to close in order to put it in front of something else.
Oh, because this is an action.
Yeah, let me just... Yeah, so it would be gone before you could use it.
Okay, then I have no idea what it would be used on.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know what they have that's an offhand that only blocks 1. Yeah, blade break. If you defend with it, destroy when the combat chain closes. So, like, even if you could block with this and then take... Actually, it doesn't even put a counter on it, so it doesn't even matter. Never mind. It doesn't even put a counter on it, so... Yeah, so I don't know what the blue reinforced steel is for. Now, the yellow one you can use. Now, I'm not super big on yellows in Guardian, but they're not completely terrible, so maybe. But yeah, this is definitely something you would have wanted more to be blue.
Yep.
But unfortunately, that doesn't work on the buckler. That's a shame. I was actually kind of excited for reinforced steel, but I also thought it worked on helmets, and now I've actually read the card.
Yeah,
and reading the card explains the card. That's a shame because like the blue one would be usable if it was like just remove one counter from an equipment with 1 or less base, because then you could use that on the helmet because that's battle worn 1. But it's not to be. The next time an offhand. Oh.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
It's interesting to say the least.
What's the blue? +4?
+4. Yeah. These are getting back to all those Guardian cards I hate. Like Steadfast and all that, where it just makes something block harder.
True.
I mean, it's good against Dominate. It is good against Dominate. But pay 2 +4 means you're losing 2 cards for +4, which means that's less than the 6 the cards would have been worth. Now, you can get that on the red one, but
running red.
I don't want to run a lot of reds, yeah. That's my concern.
Now, you are thinking of, like, Oldhim. What about Bravo?
I feel like it's much the same. I feel like both of them are... How many blues do we put in that Bravo deck? It was something obscene, I think.
Maybe it's for the other Guardian. I don't remember what that one does. The Majestic one that we don't get.
Yeah, man. I don't know. That one's dead to me. Commoner Bravo. That is a lot of blues. 28 blues. Oh man, we do have some weird cards in here though. Oh, we have Unmovable? Okay, so you could pull the Unmovable out and put the new blue, what was that, Shield Wall? Is that what it was called? Shield Wall.
Yep.
So there we go.
But that's only if you're running the shield or some other Guardian offhand.
Yes, which I think we are already doing, right? Because we have Anothis and Titan's Fist. Mm-hmm. So we do have Rotten Old Buckler here.
Okay. So we'd replace the Rotten Old Buckler with the new shield.
Yeah, and we do have the rare available, I believe. Yeah, because that's common. So, yeah, the Arcane Lantern's the only rare equipment we've got. But yeah. That's why I think the Buckler and the Shield Wall are both things that I'm reasonably excited about.
Yeah.
Reinforced Steel I was super excited about, and now I am just heartbroken and sad, crushed. My confidence was crushed. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we could... Yeah. And then Withstand, I don't know. I don't like it.
I thought there was another one, but maybe it's a rare?
Maybe. Oh, there's Life Gain. Oh man, there's damage dealing defense reactions too.
You know what?
Oh, there's a remove a counter on Never Yield.
It's not the one I'm thinking of. I guess it's not a.
Is there
the
a
one
different
I'm thinking
class
of,
one that does
yeah,
it?
it must be for a different class.
Okay. Well, then you've told me you've already started building a deck around this.
Yep, already pretty much built.
Diving into the ninja here, we have a chess piece that's irrelevant. Only garbage people use things better than rare. Why? Why do they keep doing this?
So it's kind of not that good, but it's not bad.
Okay, so I don't know what Crouching Tiger does yet. So I'll have to see what that does.
Which it's like all the way at the end of the ninja. So
my angry retort of why do they keep doing this is that ninja is exactly like looking at wizard. And LSS is just so rude to them.
Because they keep replacing.
They keep making gloves. Just like the wizard keeps making chess pieces. Like there's no wizard gloves. I mean the ice wizard does have gloves, but like even the Ice Wizard gloves are very mediocre. It's just you have nothing better to put in there.
Thematically, this makes sense, though, because it's like tiger claws.
I have a feeling I will like this better than the Phoenix Flames one. I have a feeling, but I will need to see. But I feel like I will like it better than the Phoenix Flames one.
So I'm going to tell you straight off, Crouching Tiger is very similar to Phoenix Flame.
Is it? Okay. All right, you know what? A lot of this stuff has to do with Crouching Tiger, so let's see. Is that the back here?
Yeah.
Okay, I love the artwork. Be put into a graveyard from anywhere. It ceases to exist. Okay, interesting. Yep. Okay, so it's like Phoenix Flames, but worse because it doesn't boost itself. So you have to find ways to boost it.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So it is a little
interesting.
Tough.
Interesting.
It's kind of one of the reasons why if you're gonna run it, you'd probably want to run something like this.
Yeah. I mean, the nice thing about these gloves is that they are battle worn. And if I remember correctly, the Phoenix Flames ones are probably not. They're probably Quell.
Yeah.
So battle worn is better than Quell, just in general. And then also too, for the Phoenix Flame gloves to equal this, you have to have 2 Phoenix Flames that turn.
Right.
To equal it. Although that does, I say equal it, that does result in 4 damage over 2, but which I guess that's true. So if you have 1 Phoenix Flame and you can turn the Phoenix Flame on, then that's 2 damage compared to the 2 from Crouching Tiger here. But I assume if you are building a Crouching Tiger deck, there are some other Crouching Tiger similarities coming up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all the cards are based around Crouching Tiger.
It kind of does look that way, including the Majestics.
Yep.
And while Crouching Tiger looks very terrible, having seen none of the synergy pieces yet, except for the gloves, I was very captivated by that 100 wins Katsu deck idea. And so I'm already interested in this from the meme potential.
Uh-huh.
Also, I love the Crouching Tiger artwork. I will say that right off the bat. So let's get to the commons. Pouncing Chi. Okay. So this gets better if you've had Crouching Tiger beforehand.
Correct.
Okay. So it won't pump it, but it is a 0 cost that if you have played a Crouching Tiger is now a 0/4 damage go again card. That seems pretty good.
It's pretty decent.
It does, and even the blue one's swinging for 2. If Crouching... Oh!
So this one's a finisher.
That's the finisher.
Yep.
It's also a combo, so...
Yep.
You could, in theory... Oh, and so's the Pouncing Chi. So you could also use the other gloves, too. It depends on whether you want to pump Crouching Tiger.
True.
Or if you want to pump one of these finishers.
Which, I mean, it's probably better to actually...
And it's an instant. That's nice.
Yeah.
Let me just look up breaking scales real quick. How much does it pump? Does the other one pump more?
1.
Yeah, so the other one does pump more, but this pumps more kinds of cards, but only pumps 1.
Right.
So and they're both battle worn.
The issue is that the new gloves, they only boost the Crouching Tiger.
Yeah.
And it's only +2, so it would be
although it does
from 0 to +2.
Yeah, but I mean the other one's only going to add 1 point of damage, so I think there's an argument for either.
Is that just targeting 1 combo card, or is that?
It is just 1.
Okay.
It is just 1. That's the one downside. It's just target attack action card with combo.
Okay.
If it was all cards with combo, then it would definitely outweigh it. I like this, though. This is kind of like where you want a finisher to be. The 2 cost, it's a little bit better than some of the ones. Although its flying kick is the same cost here. But the only problem I see with this, and it's going to depend on what you find later on, is that each one of these Cares of Crouching Tiger was exactly the last attack.
Right.
So that is the one concern I have. Okay, and then this makes a bunch of Crouching Tigers.
Yep.
And you can only play them this turn, though.
Right. So it makes them in your banish zone, so you can play them whenever you want, in whatever order.
That has got to be a really dope card to see.
Yes.
The cold
I do
foil
like that
Marvel one. Because it's cold foil, too.
Mm-hmm.
That has got to be cool.
So all this melds together, and basically you're running around predatory streak.
The only problem I see is this one only creates 1.
That's
so
true.
That's not a ton of ways to produce it for using all this. And then obviously you've got to fill in the gaps here, but I don't think that's necessarily too bad.
Yeah, you also get 2 of them in the deck, similar to how you get 2 Phoenix Flames.
What? Oh, wait, you can put some in the deck?
It's an attack, not a...
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Oh!
Yep.
Oh, okay, I thought it was a token.
It's not a token.
Oh! Okay, yeah, that does make it a little bit better. Okay, yep. So you have 2 in the deck, plus the predatory streaks. Okay. And then here's the question that I'm looking for an answer. Okay, so you can only fetch out combo cards. Okay. Now, this creates it in your banish zone, so you can't discard it too.
Yes.
But, I mean, this piece works with Katsu well.
Yep.
And this can be discarded to fetch out things. Katsu.
Do you mean pitched?
Oh, does he pitch? Does he pitch or discard?
It's pitch.
No, it's discard.
Is it?
Yeah, when an attack action card you control hits, you may discard a card with cost 0.
Oh.
And then if so, you can fetch out combo. Tragically, no. That would be too good.
Oh, I'm thinking of the Kandachi.
But yeah, Kadachi, yep.
Yeah.
But I can see from this why you would go Katsu probably over anyone else.
Yeah.
Although...
Are you thinking because it looks like Benji?
It's not awful with Benji. It's really not awful with Benji. Because you could pump the Crouching Tigers. Benji cares about base power, so this is unblockable. This is unblockable. This is unblockable.
True.
For 6.
That is true. I could see Benji working.
And none of these care if the Crouching Tiger hits. So I would say Katsu or Benji is probably your best choice. Not so much Faye. Is there another ninja I'm forgetting about?
Yeah. Ira.
Oh, I am forgetting about Ira. You're right. I would go Benji, I think, before I went Ira with it.
Okay.
Only because, like, she'll pump 1 Crouching Tiger plus 1. Whereas, like, Benji makes these finishers, like, the biggest reason I would think Benji is, like, this finisher in this one, too, like, that's 5 or 6 unblockable damage if played right.
That is true. I didn't think about Benji in that way. I just kind of, I prefer Katsu, so I tend to...
How does he work again? Attacks you control. Yeah, okay, so he doesn't require anything for that to be turned on. So just anything that's 2 or less is unblockable.
Benji might actually be better in that regard.
He might be. I think both. I think there's a lot of justification for both. Because with Benji, obviously, you're going to lose 3 health. That's one of the downsides. But then with Katsu, you can find these finishers easier.
Yeah.
So I think those are the 2 right ones to be looking at. And again, there's a lot of reasons to think Katsu, because, like, these discard to find combo, these discard to find combo, these discard to find combo. Like the only thing that doesn't is the Chi Unleash, and this is probably what you're fetching out by discarding the 0 cost. Okay, I like this. I don't know if it's better than existing archetypes.
No, it's just a new...
But I will say, I do think this is probably... Without having played it, this seems like a better way to build Benji than what we did.
Okay.
I think we built a really unique way to play Benji, and I don't think our Benji deck is bad. Right. But I do think, as we said at the time, it's like the most competitive weapon-based Benji you could build. But I think this may actually be a better Benji. Because the fact that this is a 6-powered unblockable attack is disgusting.
Yep.
And I do think, to your point, having, like, all of these, so, like, that's 2, 6, 8 Crouching Tigers in your deck, means you should be able to find it relatively easy.
Yep.
But, yeah. I think Katsu or Benji, you could definitely make a neat deck with this, and I think it would be better than a meme deck. It may not be the most competitive deck, but it'd be better than a meme deck. Mm-hmm. So I think at worst, you're looking at a KO deck, not a Data Doll deck.
Right.
Put it that way.
Well,
you're not looking at Cavdane or Data Doll. Yeah. You're looking at, like, KO at worst, I think.
It's kind of hard to get down to that level.
It is. It is very hard to get down to that level.
You have to try to get to that level.
Especially considering that I've talked about how Cavdane is so bad because there's no merchant unique cards in Commoner. And so every Cavdane deck you can build could just be a different hero.
Yep.
And yet I've pointed out that the only hero that can't do his deck better is Data Doll. Because the Intellect 3 handicaps it.
Pour one out.
So Cavdane is probably more competitive than Data Doll, but then worse than every other hero. And this is substantially better than that, I think. If we had gotten 100 wins, if it hadn't been taken away from us immediately after giving it to us, I don't know which of these would be better. I think there's an argument for each. Although, maybe now that I'm thinking about it in my head, that does make an argument for this should be a Benji deck. Because I'm thinking, like, if you build 100 wins, you have to be Katsu.
Yep.
But Benji with Crouching Tiger just seems like a really good deck and probably way better than Katsu 100 wins. So maybe that means Benji should be the one. But maybe Katsu Crouching Tiger is just as good, and I'm just not thinking about it quite as well.
I think it's maybe more stable. I don't know. I just like
Katsu
Katsu
it
better,
is a little bit
so
more stable.
I didn't even think of Benji when I built it.
I mean, Katsu, that is one of the great things about Katsu is he's very, very consistent. That's the word. That's the word I was looking for.
It is funny to think about how, like, with Benji, if you're using the Crouching Tiger and you don't boost it, you're hitting for 0 unblockable.
You are. If there's anything that says if the last attack was unblocked, then that's also really, really good. Although, if it's the last attack hit, that's not quite as good.
Does it technically hit, though?
No, I don't think so. I think you have to deal damage to count as a hit.
Okay.
I think. I'm fairly confident on that. But again, like that's actually really, really cool. Because I think in the Benji deck we had Push the Point, which just doesn't synergize with Benji. And yet Push the Point red does what yellow Chi Unleashed does, in theory. So it's just a matter of... The biggest problem here is, like, on paper, discussing this, I think Benji is the best one. Because having an unblockable 6-power attack sounds great. Problem is, I don't know how inconsistent that is. You have 8 sources of Crouching Tiger in the deck. That means less than 1 per hand. And does the deck fall apart without that, then? So, I don't... It is a question of consistency.
Right.
But, I like it.
If you think about it, like, you have more... Like, with the red and yellow, you have more than just one Crouching Tiger. And then maybe you can find some way to draw.
Yeah. Like a way to draw more cards out of the deck. Like Hope Merchant's Hood to try and find your way to it.
Yep.
Okay. Maybe that's what we need to do. Do we need to both make Crouching Tiger ninjas and then play them against each other and see what happens?
Maybe.
This is just really funny because this is the one we've probably spent the most time talking about. And I personally am not very interested in the ninja class. This is the most interested I've been in the ninja class, I think. Especially since Weapon Master Benji.
Yep.
But like Ira is the one ninja deck I have. I totally forgot that ninja even existed. It's the one I actually own. I have an Ira deck, and you have to tell me that Ira exists. And yet I love this. This is so cool. And I don't think it's insanely powerful. I don't think it's broken. But it's kind of like how the last, what was that? Was Crucible? No, not Everfest.
Yes.
Everfest added a bunch of ninja cards. I didn't hate any of them, but none of them were super powerful.
Yeah.
This is kind of the same thing.
This has a lot more synergy though.
Yes. And this feels way more ninja-like because it is a lot of combo cards.
Mm-hmm.
And they are comboing, so I like this. I like this a lot. Whereas like the Draconic Ninja doesn't feel quite as much like a ninja because you're not
like
comboing. You're just
ninja.
like slam.
Yeah.
The only combo is I played 3 Draconic cards, now Phoenix Flame. But yeah, I love this. And again, I love the artwork too.
Yep.
Like these are some really cool looking cards in general. All right, that's sick. I did not think I was going to be so interested by that, but I am. Oh, I remember seeing this, that the Light Warrior gets something.
So rest in peace for that majestic sword.
Yeah. What does that even do?
It creates the...
Oh, that's what creates the Spellbane?
Yeah.
You can only have one Spellbane Aegis? That's rude.
Yep.
That actually is very rude for... I mean, it only costs 1 to swing, but like... You have the same base power of a Dawnblade, but you can't get bigger than... I guess... Okay, so I guess what it's here for is, like, you're playing Dorinthia with Dawnblade, and you just bring this into, like, the Wizard matchup. I guess. But it's weird that they won't let you have more than that. Oh, and I saw that they did a two-handed Battle Axe now.
Yep. It gets overpower when it's boosted, I guess.
So it's basically like Dominate.
Yeah. Well... Can't be defended by more than 1 action card.
Yeah. So it's pretty close to Dominate, but if they have Instance... Although most Instants can't block. But
we don't get it anyways.
Yeah, we don't get it anyways. That's true.
We do, however, get these.
Quicksilver Dagger. Oh, right. I did actually read these. They're like Kodachis.
Yep.
But only if... Oh, yeah. They're like Kodachis, so if you can give Go Again to one of them, it goes to all of them.
It does.
Right. Which is kind of neat with Dorinthia, because Dorinthia can make it so that these can hit multiple times. And so you can, like, kind of Kodachi Storm. But at the end of the day, you're still paying 1 for 1 damage.
Yeah.
Nope.
I kind of like the Centauri Sabers, I think, better.
A little bit. Yeah, I could see that, because they could pump themselves.
Yep.
The one nice thing about them doing a dagger, and I'm pretty sure this is probably why they made warrior daggers, is that Razor Reflex works on them, just like it would on swords. So that at least it fits into the deck pretty well. And then we have Jessic, some rares, and then commons, Puncture. And there's another Sword or Dagger Matters.
Right. So basically, Puncture is just another reason why you have to overblock warrior attacks.
True. Because now if you block with equipment, this will pump it even more.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that probably does replace some cards in Warrior right off the bat, because it's 1 to +3 in a fairly easy +4 condition. And again, blocks 3, costs 1. That's kind of right where you're looking for.
And it's a attack reaction, so
it is.
You know, if they block with the equipment, that's when you use it.
Yep. And then hopefully they haven't run out of equipment by the time. So I mean, you probably wouldn't go super heavy on Puncture, but you probably put the 2 in.
Yeah.
Felling Swing. Okay. Well, I could see you running that in Bolton.
Yep.
It's very expensive, but I mean, that is a huge boost if you're going to be using the axes, and it works on the one-handed axes.
That's kind of funny.
So that would make it swing for 8 for the cost of 1, I think. So I mean, you pay 4 total, but
right.
But that and it also synergizes with Bolton just in the way that he can only give Go Again to things that have greater than their power.
Right.
So, yeah, I could see if you're going to build Axe Bolton, you could definitely get some felling swings in there.
Okay, this is the card I think I was thinking about.
Oh.
Maybe it was just the artwork.
I like the artwork. I like that it costs 0, and
Yep.
I like that it blocks 3. My bigger concerns here is that I think piercing 3 is worse than plus 3. And it's basically sharpened steel. It's just, I think I would rather have sharpened steel than visit the Imperial Forge.
It's kind of situational.
It is. And, like, the problem is you're telegraphing. You're telling them, hey, if you block this with equipment, it's going to get plus 3. If Ironhide worked the way we thought it did, this would be way better. Because then that de-incentivizes your opponent to throw an Ironhide in front and then pump it. But since that's not how it works, they have to pump it first.
I guess it's a way to force your opponent to
Not
block
use
with their
equipment.
hand.
Yeah. But the problem is, I think I would just rather have sharpened steel, which is going to give the guaranteed plus 3. Because you can do this and then swing your sword, they block from hand, and this card did nothing. Or sharpened steel will always have done something.
Right, but maybe they block with equipment, and maybe they have temper, and they have that. They can
True, it
give
kind
them
of
more
answers
counters.
the Bloodbraid thing a little
Yep.
bit better. But I don't know. I think there's just not room for it.
Yeah,
when you have
it's
sharpened
very
steels.
situational. It's a meta card essentially.
Yeah, that's true. If you're seeing a lot of equipment. Because that's the other problem with Commoner is that there's just not a lot of equipment available that blocks.
Yep.
So I think outside of Commoner, the value does go up on this a little bit. But I think in Commoner, it's a little bit more questionable. Well then, do we move on to the sad category to a certain
Yeah.
extent? I have not seen a lot of the stuff here, but I have seen some of it.
I didn't look at the majestic.
I didn't look at it either, because who cares, right?
It just does
And it does
overpower.
have overpower. Play a card with boost each turn, put a steam counter on it.
And you have to
Oh.
remove 2.
Yeah, it's not awful, though,
Yeah.
because you don't have to pay anything. It builds up, and then... Like, I would play this in my Commoner Dash deck, if I could. Sadly, I can't.
Right.
Because then you'd just be doing your, like, boost chains, and eventually you get a free blaster attack out. Which is really good.
So we do get the
The rare arms,
galvanic bender.
which effectively does nothing.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's a battle worn.
For Commoner, it does nothing. It's
Yep.
just a battle worn, yeah. So it's if you wanted this over, like, Ironhide gloves.
Yeah. Which, meh.
Yeah. I mean, you're not using Arcane Lantern, so you have the rare slot for it. So I guess, do you like Ironhide or do you like Battle Worn? And I mean, realistically speaking, that means it's the equivalent of an Iron Rot glove. The only difference is it will still be there once you block with it, whereas the Iron Rot will kill itself. But does
Yeah.
that make a huge difference? I don't think so. And the big reason to be down on this is that there is this nitro mechanoid thing that
Sounds really
you
cool.
draw it and then you play it, but you can only play it if you have all of your equipment intact and 3 hyperdrivers.
Yeah.
In which case you play this and it becomes essentially an ally, right? Am I understanding that correctly? It's basically like an ally,
I think so.
except I guess it's a weapon/equipment slot.
I think it might show more down below.
It's the same one as this
Okay,
one.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so it basically replaces all your equipment. It can block. It can attack.
It has temper.
It has temper. It does swing for a lot too, and then you attack by just banishing a card out from under it. So in theory, since you had to do a head, chest, arms, legs, weapon, and 3 hyperdrivers, you have 8 uses of the Nitro Mechanoid before it dies, or 5 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't be blocked. That's the other nice thing. And then it does get boosted if you have stuff like Galvanic Bender under it, which would give it +1 attack. But we have the Bender, we do not have the Mechanoid,
Nope.
so sad.
And even if we did have the Mechanoid, we wouldn't be able to have 3 hyperdrivers.
Well, no, we can have 3 hyperdrivers.
Can you?
You just have to play them. Well, we'll get to the rest of this list, but there are enough hyperdrivers now to have 3. There wasn't before.
Are they different?
Yeah, they're 3 different colors. Now there's red, yellow, blue.
That's true.
Whereas before there's only red.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
not to get to the end of the list ahead of time, but there are more hyperdrivers now, which is also why Data Doll is slightly better, because there are now 4 new items you can put in a Data Doll deck. And they're good items, too. Crankshaft, I like this card. I did see this card already. I am a fan of this card. I would have to look at my decks again to try and figure out where it goes in. But as someone who plays a lot of Dash, Dash will almost always start with a hyperdriver in place.
Yeah.
And this is just a well-costed attack. 2 for 5 is pretty good. It has boost. It has everything you want on it. The nice part is that if you banish it off the top of your deck, when boosting, it will give you a steam counter on the hyperdriver.
Yep.
So it's a good attack on its own. Or if it's the thing you end up boosting, it lets you get more free resources for longer.
I would think you'd probably want to boost it more often than use it.
Probably. But it's also one of those things that if you draw it, you're not going to be mad.
Right.
That's the big thing.
I would say for the red, you'd play it, but for the blue or the yellow, you'd want to boost it.
And that's the question, is if you do put all 3 in.
Or
Mechanologist is in one of those
boosted,
weird spots where I almost hate when cards come out, because there's so much fine-tuning that happened to that deck that now having to decide which to pull out to put new things in, that I'm always like, oh god.
Yeah.
But I think Crankshaft is one of those cards that just easily justifies a spot, especially in Dash. It probably is really good in Data Doll, too, because that's going to be most of the items you get in Governor and Data Doll.
I mean, it's a simple card. Technically a 5 for 1.
I think it matches Zipper Hit's attacks, and Zipper Hit is just this, but without the requirement. So I'm trying to think, do I want more Zipper Hits? Because I think Zipper Hits is 5, 4, 3 with boost and costs 1.
Okay.
So this is just Zipper Hit with more steps. It's fairly easy to pull off. So then it's really just a question of, do we want more Zipper Hits?
Do Zipper Hits also block for 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mechanologist cards block pretty well. Honestly, I don't hate this card. I think I probably wouldn't run it, because like Crankshaft is something that I'm definitely like willing to make space for. This less so, when I already just kind of have an easier version of it.
Right.
Urgent Delivery. I like that it costs 0. What does it do? You may put a Mechanologist item from your hand into the arena with cost less than or equal to the number of times you've boosted. Okay, so it doesn't boost itself, but it does swing for a lot. I think I would probably not play this in Dash, although I don't hate it.
I don't know that you played in Data Doll either.
So in Data Doll, you have the 0 cost item that you can play without boosting at all off this.
Mm-hmm.
This costs 0, which makes it very easy to play without having any cards to pitch in hand. And if you can boost once and then Urgent Delivery, you can get hyperdrivers for free too, which will be the bulk of the rest of the items you have in Data Doll.
True.
So I think you could run it in Data Doll. You probably don't run every copy, but you would probably run the red and maybe the blue or the yellow.
Okay.
But I think just the fact that it's a 0 cost 4 power makes it actually good enough to make the cut.
Yeah.
Especially when you're playing Data Doll, and so you don't often have things to pitch. And then hyperdrivers. There's just 3 colors now. So the original hyperdriver is red, and so it enters with 3 counters on it. And once per turn, whenever you boost it with a card, you get 1 resource. They have now made a yellow and a blue version, which just start with less counters.
Yep.
So the blue kills itself right away. Yellow you get 2 uses out of, and then we still have the red, which gets 3 uses. So for Dash, I probably am not going to go out of my way to put more hyperdrivers in. So I'll probably just have the red.
For the thing that adds counters to hyperdriver, does that does that affect the blue one before it destroys itself?
I think no, because this kills itself first. So crankshaft really is only going to help with the yellow or the red, and if you do it fast enough, because this kills itself as soon as it has no counters. Although, you could stack this because you choose how things stack. So this triggers once you boost a card. So I think you do complete the boost first. So if you play a card, boost a crankshaft, then this trigger would go on the stack because you've now boosted, but then so would crankshaft. So I think you could have crankshaft put the counter on and then remove the counter.
Okay, so it wouldn't destroy itself.
I'd have to look at the notes, the release notes for this one, but I think that would work because I think it wouldn't remove it before the boost has completed.
Okay.
Maybe. Well, that's Mechanologist. The one good takeaway here, the most good takeaway here, is that Data Doll just got buffed. We have 4 new items to go into Data Doll, and they're good items. They're actually good items.
I mean, that was the favorite item before for Data Doll anyways. For
That's
any
true.
Mechanologist.
That's true.
Really.
Yep. For any Mechanologist. Oh, you were absolutely right. I know the people watching the video won't get this, but yes, the adult version is majestic, and the young version is rare. Most exciting thing in Dynasty, I think. Probably closely followed, at least currently for me, by Crouching Tiger. But most exciting thing, we've been skipping by all the heroes here because A, we already talked about Emperor, but Emperor and Koji are all majestic or higher. We are getting a new hero, because Arachne is a rare for the young version, which is the only version we care about.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also a brand new class.
Assassin.
This is the first time they've done this in a supplement, unless you count Merchant being added in Crucible.
Yeah.
But I think this is better than Merchant for a large number of reasons, in the sense that while I have not read what any of these cards do, I did read that there was an assassin, and I saw that there was assassin cards that were common. And the Merchant has no cards that are common. So that's exciting.
I will say that there is an unfortunate side effect of being in commoner for this.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of the cards almost become, like, they're not useless, but their use
worse.
Would go towards the
Majestics and
equipment.
Stuff. Oh, okay.
Specifically.
The equipment. All right. So I did not look at the equipment. So legendary 1, when it's in your graveyard, you may destroy 2 silvers. If you do, pull it out of the graveyard. That is cool.
Yes.
That's reusable and all that. That is something that I am seeing now why you said it sounds like they were listening to our videos. Because we did talk about reusable equipment at one point. Although I can't remember if that was on a video or if it was after it, but it was one of the ones we were talking about, like a blacksmith hero that
it was after
bring stuff back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we were talking about something like this. That's really cool that they're doing. They're implementing a thing where equipment can come back.
Because there's not a lot of. We don't get it in common.
Yeah, because the silvers all come on the higher rarities. There's also one other unfortunate thing, and that is that our weapons are also rare, which means they are one-handed weapons, which would go great with a lantern, but we don't get to do it unless we want to do 1 dagger and a lantern.
Which you could.
You could. I didn't actually read what the daggers did get, but I did see that. But I guess we should start Arachne, 4 intellect, 20 health, assassin, good starting point, a generic amount of health, and we don't have a crippling amount of intellect. And then when you play a card with contract, you can look at the top card of your opponent's deck, and you can put it on the bottom if you want. So you get to fate seal your opponent for the people who've played Magic. Which that's just cool. I do know that there are some cards that say contract on them in the comments.
I'm pretty sure
that's the only thing I checked.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's the only thing I checked to see if it would be relevant. So that's cool right off the bat too, is that he also has an ability that does something in commoner. Okay, so the Spider's Bites, they are Kodachis that cost double, but they have go again built on them. Okay, if they're defended by equipment, they get boosted.
Yep.
When it hits a hero, the next time they defend with one or more attack action cards. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Because that actually does a lot of great things. Because now they don't want to not block it, but if they block it with equipment, it's going to get +1.
Yep.
And aside from the new Guardian Shield, it's going to go over the equipment then. So that is cool. Is that punishes them for blocking and for not blocking. And it stacks too. So if you do double Spider's Bite, everything's going to get -2.
Ooh, I didn't think of it that way.
Now, that does mean they're probably going to block your Spider's Bite, but that does mean you're forcing them to block that and opening the way for future attacks.
So you could build Arachne based around the Spider's Bite and just
Or
be
just,
like,
whittling them down.
yeah, you've got like
Cha, 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 cha.
attack reactions where you just boost it afterwards.
Oh, that's true too, yeah. And it is a dagger, so Razor Reflex works right
Yep.
off the bat. So yeah, I mean, definitely that's a route you could go too, is just be like your weapon-based assassin, which seems appropriate. But yeah, so I mean, I like this. I like this right off the bat. This is already a very relevant and playable to commoner hero, which is more than can be said of Cavdane. All right, and then there's a bunch of Majestics and Majestics. The good thing is we don't get this cool specialization card, but it also only matters if it's used against Royals, which we also don't get Royals. So, it's fine.
Yep.
All right. Still in the rares, rares, lots of rares. Okay, commons. Annihilate the Armed.
Yep.
Okay, so contract. You are contracted to banish opponent attack action cards. Okay, so basically what it does is it puts a contract in play now?
No, it's just for
Oh, so while this attack is still on the chain,
Yes.
this contract is active.
Yeah.
And if you banish a card, you make a silver token. Oh, and if it hits, banish the top card. So if it hits an attack action card, it will then complete itself.
Yep.
Okay. I really like the flavor of this right off the bat. This is dripping with flavor and in an actual functional way. I'm very impressed about how LSS often manages to make things very flavorful, but in a fun to play way. I will also say silver is, since they decided to do silver rather than copper, that is actually very beneficial because silver is pay 3 to draw a card.
Yeah.
So you're much more likely to be able to cycle to things, which is really relevant if you are doing this kind of combo-based thing. Downside here is it doesn't have go again. So
Also, it's not gold.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, 1 power, 5 attack. Like, I'm looking at the attacks here. Like, even the blue is 3 damage. That's
3 for 1 is not bad.
That is pretty good.
It mills essentially, right?
It does. Because even if you don't complete the contract, you're still milling a card.
Yeah, I guess it's not milling because mill is to the graveyard, right?
Well, I mean,
It's
so
banishing.
there really isn't. Mill doesn't technically exist in the game right now.
True.
So I mean, realistically speaking, they are both very similar to Mill from Magic, if we want to look at it that way. The only thing is that in theory, banishing it rather than graveyarding it is better. If you're not playing against Chain.
Right.
Or Levia.
Or Levia, yeah.
Although for Levia, it's actually not that great. Because all it does is turn off Blood Debt, and
Yeah.
it only turns it off for that turn. And so if you're doing this on your turn, that's not really benefiting Levia.
Unless you're doing Shadow Runeblade.
Unless you are
Levia.
playing Shadow Runeblade Levia like I was,
Yep.
then yes, yes, this could be disadvantageous. Although that said, that is exactly how you killed Shadow Runeblade Levia,
Yep.
was by putting Blood Debt cards into my Vanish Zone.
And that was your own fault too.
That was a little bit.
I mean, I may have picked those cards, but you made me pick them.
But I will say, I like this right off the bat, though. They're very cheap to use at 1 power. They have really good damage outputs, and they do just like hitting a hero banish a card is just usually going to be really good, or like not really really good, but like not a bad thing. Them losing cards is always good.
So Annihilate the Armed is attack action cards.
Yep.
And then we move on to the next one.
But I mean, like, that's the one thing. Like, that's for the contract to get the silver. If you actually take that entire paragraph off the card, it's
still
actually
banishing.
still good.
Yep,
It's still
true.
good.
That is true.
The only thing though is with the contract part is that obviously you would like to do it because of Arachne letting you Fate Steal.
Yep.
The other actually wait, that doesn't even matter. Never mind. Forget that. You don't need to complete the contract. It's literally like
Whenever
almost irrelevant. It's just going to give you
true.
silver. And if we don't have a payoff for that silver, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, it's just extra draw cards. This is just anytime you play something with contract, you get to look at their top card.
Okay.
And you can put it on the bottom. I am understanding it now. The pistons are firing in my brain. You play armed or annihilate the armed, and then you activate, which triggers Arachne, so you can look at the top card. If it's not an attack action card, you bottom it, increasing your chances of completing the contract.
Okay.
I see what it's meant to do. But even if you're not completing the contract, like when you're playing against a wizard, like you're still banishing a card from them, which they lose, and you can also still look at the top card and be like, do I want to banish this? If not, I bottom it, and then I banish something else. And also I noticed too, this is not once per turn. Nope. Every time you play something with contract.
That is funny.
Although that said, this doesn't have go again. So either the other stuff has to have go again, or we have to jump through loops to make it.
Right.
That said, I'm already... We are probably going to build an assassin at some point. That'll probably be another episode.
I did already start, but I basically just threw all the usable assassin cards in.
But we just talked about how we could build a deck where you use Razor Reflex and pumping the Spider's Bite and all that stuff.
That is true. I didn't.
Razor Reflex also works on Annihilate the Armed and doesn't go again because it is a one-cost attack.
True.
So, yeah, it works really well there. Okay, Fleece the Frail. 0 cost, like that. Okay, when it hits a hero, banish the top card of their deck. I'm noticing a pattern.
So that's where you'd play it against, like, Runeblade.
This would be very good against Runeblade. Or very good against Runeblade in the sense it would be highly likely to give you a silver token.
Yes.
In Runeblade.
Well, yep.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, 2 to 4 power is pretty solid at 0 cost. Again, doesn't have go again, but...
That's true. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah, but I mean,
I have a feeling that's going to be the...
Yeah, I have a feeling all of them are going to be that way, but again, so far, everything we've seen, and the card I'm seeing ahead of time here, all of those work with Razor Reflex.
Yep.
So this is just a really good Razor Reflex deck. And Razor Reflex does give go again. So, like, I had it in Shadow Runeblade Levia, because I needed more sources of go again. And so I was using Razor Reflex for that. It's even better in this.
Is Lead the Charge cost base or power
It is
base?
cost base.
Okay.
But the red and the yellow will work on most of these.
Okay.
It's just the blue that we run into problems. But yellow will work on the 1 cost, and red will work on all of these. So that's another option you can put in there.
The blue will work on the Fleece the Frail. Because it's 0 cost, right?
No, the blue does 2 or greater.
Oh,
that's how Lead the Charge. Yeah,
okay. I thought it was the other way around. Whoops.
Yep.
Never mind.
But what I'm noticing here, all of these, you're going to be burning your opponent's deck.
Yep.
A ton, unless they're blocking, and all of them are kind of like some of them are kind of rough to block. Like the 4 power on a lot of these is really really good because now they have to block with 2
cards. Or 1 card in an
which
equipment,
is still burning
then...
burning their deck in another manner because those are going into the graveyard.
Yep.
So I like this. I like the theme of this. Even like just ignoring the contract part. Just like the contract is triggering Arachne every time you play these. If you get the silver or not, who really cares?
Right.
You're just milling your opponent
silver
out.
Matters more for the majestic equipment.
Yes.
It's kind of a bonus.
For here, it's just like extra card draw if your hand bricks. And they all block well too.
Also, it kind of feels good to be like sitting on the side, just like a silver token with like with a
just piles of
spin
silver
down
tokens
counter
here.
on it, so it just spins up.
Just piles of money over here.
Oh, I gotta take out a second spin down counter because I have that much silver.
What's the next contract? This one's effectively Annihilate the Armed. It's just you're looking for reaction cards. Okay, so this one's going to be hard to complete the contract probably because not a ton of things do. You're
Yeah.
probably going to see attack reactions more often.
That would be...
This is the warrior one.
Yes.
This is the one for killing warriors.
The assassin is kind of meta in that sense, at least the contract-wise.
This one was getting me excited, but now not so much. I thought it was going to gain go again when you completed the contract, but no, it just gives you silver.
It's just against cards that have go again.
Yep.
Sack the Shifty.
Another good Runeblade one. So the 0 costs are very good against Runeblade.
Yep.
Okay, yep, same thing. All the same stuff, milling cards.
Slay the Scholars.
Non-attack action cards, also good against Runeblade. So all the 0 costs are good against Runeblade. Got it. All the other stuff's the same. And cut to the chase, which is attack action card with contracts, game +3. Okay.
So it's an attack reaction.
And then it does the Arachne effect, so
Yep.
you can also try to filter even further. The only thing I see with this, it's not bad, and I could still see running some number of copies of this, but I think I do like, even though it costs 1 more, Razor Reflex better, because that pumps the same amount and gives go again.
Right.
And I think because we don't have a lot of payoffs to silver, the being able to look at the top card and adjust it is probably
kind of
not
bonus.
not a huge benefit. But I don't hate this either.
But it makes you feel good. Shiny things.
True. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to build an assassin. I like this. This is cool. It actually, I think in Commoner you're basically just playing a mill deck that actually deals a ton of damage too, which is pretty disgusting. You're having your cake and eating it. You're milling through your opponent's deck while dealing a ton of damage to them. So I love it. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. And also they gave us a ton of commons. Wow, like that's so many.
Yep.
Did you fill the entire deck with just these commons? It's
It
got to
might
be
have been
close.
pretty close. I think it's like 38
It's got to
or
be
something.
close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that's 36. You're 4 short just using assassin cards. So you just throw 4 Razor Reflexes in, boom, done. Okay, we're definitely going to have to do this.
36.
This will probably be episode 23 of the Vodcast. It's us building Arachne. Because I do think you probably don't run all of these. There's probably some good generics.
Should we do 2 flavors of Arachne? One that's weapon-based and one that's contract-based?
We could try that. I think we start with just building it and see what happens.
Okay.
Because I think there's going to be a lot of crossover. Because I think the big thing for the weapon one is running Razor Reflex. Yeah. I think you may actually just run all 3 copies regardless of which one you play, because it lets all your contracts game go again. But yeah, I think that's going to be really, really neat. I'm excited about Arachne. Probably at this point where we're at, I think I'm most excited by Arachne, followed by probably the Crouching Tiger Ninja.
Yep.
And then maybe Mechanologist is the next one down.
Sure.
For me, personally. Yeah. Because of the fact that Crankshaft is just probably a good addition to any Mechanologist.
And there's also the extra hyperdriver.
Yes, which on reflection I probably won't put them in Dash, but Data Doll would take them for sure.
It means I get to fix my Data Doll deck.
Yeah, slightly. Woo! We might actually get to. I don't think we've recorded a single video that actually made it to the channel with Data Doll. I think you and I played it off camera.
Wasn't it
once?
Data Doll against Levia?
Yes.
The big losers.
Yes. I played Data Doll, you played Levia, and Data Doll got absolutely destroyed.
Which makes sense.
So I think we've never actually done it on camera, so we could fix the Data Doll deck and then actually play a game of it. Alright, and then...
I also kind of want to see your Shadow Runeblade Levia just
against regular Levia? Deck. Yeah, just... Or, like a normal deck. Like a
non-Briar deck.
Okay. Yeah, non-Wizard Briar. I would do it. I don't think it's awful. I do think it's probably worse than a regular Levia deck, but hard to say.
I don't know. I really don't
you
know.
Want to figure out if this is what Levia actually should be doing, is just forget the whole brute part and pretend you're not a brute. That would be really funny if that ends up being the case.
Or maybe there's a way to optimize it so you're a little of both.
Maybe.
I don't know.
This is another
food for thought.
instance of me getting angry, though, as we hit Ranger here, and it's more Ranger gloves.
And what do they do again? I forget.
Reveal the top card of your deck.
Blade
If it's
break.
arrow, it deals 1 damage. Otherwise, you put it at the bottom of your deck.
They have blade break.
Yeah. And all it does is you just defend with it, and when you do, you get to flip the top card of your deck and either deal 1 damage or move it to the bottom. Now, I get what they're going for. This is supposed to go with Azalea, because she's the one that can move things from the top of the deck to the arsenal.
Right.
And so you can flip it, see that it's an arrow, deal 1 damage to them, and then also move it in. Replace whatever you have arsenaled with that card if you like it better. But I think you're just still better off with the gloves that put something in your arsenal than this.
Yeah, because it only does 1 damage once.
And in fact, let me just... Ranger... equipment... Common... Oh, it's Arcane Barrier, so it doesn't block. So, I mean... Okay, so... There's a world in which you replace your Ironhide with this.
Right.
Assuming that we even put Ironhide gauntlets in any of our Rangers. Which, now that I'm saying that out loud, I think we did not.
No.
So, yeah, I think Hornet's Sting is just bad.
Because the Bullseye Bracers were...
The key card, yeah. We would probably replace the Snapdragon Scalers and the chess piece first.
Right.
And then I feel like we probably would replace Honing Hood before the gloves. Yeah, so Hornet's Sting sucks. Not gonna mince words. I think it sucks.
And we get some Raised Majestics, and then...
Hemorrhage Boar. They really like hemorrhaging things, Rangers.
So, if I remember correctly, it's kind of tough if you're not using the Majestic.
Is that where the aim counters come from?
So, yeah. But there is...
Put an aim counter on
There
it.
are other ways to do it, or there might be one other way to do it. And
okay,
I think
this benefits from aim counters.
Yeah.
This benefits from aim counters. Okay, is there an aim counter? No, it's just like a thing you put on it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so if it has an aim counter, it destroys arsenal cards.
Yep.
Very rude for Ranger Mirror Match.
It's like a commoner version of Command and Conquer.
Yeah, kind of like Breaking Point was too.
Right.
We're getting more Command and Conquers, which is probably their attempt to make Command and Conquer not a stupid expensive card, which is at least nice of them to try that. Long Shot is a cheaper headshot, I see, but only if you can get aim counters on it rather than putting it face up in the arsenal.
Yep.
Which seems like it will probably be more difficult considering I have not seen...
Think so.
Okay, point the tip.
Yeah.
That's where we get it.
So that's the only way for commoner to do that, to get aim counters that I know of. I think aim counter is new, I'm assuming.
Yes, it is.
So
it is brand new with this.
Then that's the only way for commoner.
I don't hate these cards, but I don't think any of them make the cut.
No.
Because I think Point the Tip is too rough to pull off. Because it has to be a face
up.
down. Or
It's face up.
Oh, is it face up? Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. It's a little bit better then. It's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Because usually your arrows are often going to be face up. Because you probably put them in the arsenal
Yes.
this turn face up. Okay, it's a little bit better. I thought it said turn an arrow face up and then give it this. Okay. It's not awful. It's a 0-cost pump spell, but I think the problem is that's the only way for you to get aim counters on it, and the other two cards do something so mediocre off of it, I would say. I mean, Hemorrhaging Boar is not awful, but, like, these cards are bad without the aim counter.
Right.
And so you have to have both them and Point the Tip in your hand, and specifically Point the Tip. I think it's probably not going to be worth the effort you're going to have to go through to make it happen.
Right. You'd basically have to build a deck around Point the Tip.
Yes, I would say. Or, like, you have to put all 6 copies of Point the Tip in, which means you're kind of hampering your deck a little bit. And realistically speaking, unless you're running a ton of long shots and all the rest of the stuff, this is just a 0-cost pump spell.
Right.
So.
And I mean, all the other cards aren't that amazing to begin with.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, doesn't it? Just not. You're not.
You have to reset.
Oh, I have to take that off too. Non-attack action. That'll work. Okay, yeah. So it is just like it's the same as Nimbleism. I just wanted to make sure Nimbleism didn't give go again. That's why I just wanted to make sure. So it's effectively Nimbleism.
Right. It's a more restrictive Nimbleism.
Well, I mean, oh yeah, because it has to be face up.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah, so I guess I would just prefer Nimbleism unless I'm running a ton of long shots and hemorrhaging boars. So I think it's just a harder to pull off strategy.
Yeah.
I think you can do it and not be trolling, but I think you're probably going to be better off not.
Yeah. You're basically gimping yourself, or you're running a jank deck or a meme deck.
I guess it's the difference between whether you want to play KO or you want to play Rhinar. Is that Rhinar is going to be very consistent and do the thing you expect it to almost every time you play it. KO is going to be very coin flippy, but have these really cool moments.
Right.
So if you want to play a more coin flippy, less consistent Azalea that can do cool things, I think you could play that and not be terrible. You're not going to be down competing against the Data Doll players for last. You're going to be somewhere in the middle probably, because it's going to occasionally just mess you over by not being consistent.
Right. This it runs in the same vein as like the trap arrows or whatever.
Yeah. Yes.
Slightly better though.
Probably a little bit better than the traps.
Yeah.
Until they do more like trap synergy. Runeblade, we got a book.
Yep. We get a book.
I will just say right off the bat, I do think the book is bad.
Yeah.
Just in general, I don't think it's very good.
It fits with the theme of our Halloween deck, though.
So it would have been great. It would have been great in the Halloween deck. That would have been cool. I mean, the one plus side here is you do draw a card.
Yeah.
But you did just pay 3 to do that. And you only get the rune chant if you lost 2 cards to do that, which means you have gone down 2, up 1.
And specifically a non-attack and an attack action.
Now, I could see a world in which you try to make this work in Viscerai, and it could be okay. Because if you're using a lot of the Rune Chant Matters cards, this could be good. But generally speaking, Runeblade weapons are so good that replacing them with one that deals no damage just seems like a mistake.
Imagine if they didn't make it once per turn, though.
Yes, I think it would be a little bit better if that was the case.
It would be a little broken.
I actually do think that.
Because you'd keep drawing cards.
Yeah, so you just keep doing that until you run out.
Right.
Effectively. And you could, in theory, make a bunch of rune chants doing that. The problem being you have to pitch 2 cards each time to make a rune chant. But you could get 2 to 3 rune chants a turn, in theory, off this.
But that's not the way it works.
It's not the way it works. And the problem is, like, the thing is, rune chants are something that break when you attack, and this book can't attack. So I think you're still probably better off just doing, like, a sword with Viscerai. And that way you have this backup plan of just pitch 1 card, swing sword, crack all your rune chants.
Now, maybe there are some more synergies
are
between
building
the
Wizard Briar,
yeah.
and then you do this for the Brit. Yeah, that's true. Maybe some of the Majestics and all that work better with it. Yeah, that one cares about pitching an attack and non-attack action too.
Yep.
But they do have to be pitched to play that specifically.
Oh, so it would not work.
The Majestic Hat's kind of neat.
I didn't actually look at it.
Because the rune chants gain spell void, so then you
Right.
can start using them defensively. That's kind of cool. Obviously, that doesn't matter for us, but that is kind of cool.
Yep.
But yeah, if you want to build Wizard Briar from seen in our last video of playing Commoner Shadow Runeblade Levia versus Wizard Briar,
Very thematic.
you can definitely play this book and it will be more thematic. The
Not
problem
better.
problem being that you only have 10 attack action cards, and so your chances are. But in theory, that does mean every single hand should have 1 non-attack action and 1 attack action. So
in theory.
in theory. So you could be building rune chants.
You got to shuffle real good.
Yeah, true.
Or real bad. I don't know.
But yeah, so there's that. The book's not great. I wouldn't. I very much think that this book is here for memes or something heavily rune chant focused.
Right.
Like heavily, incredibly rune chant focused.
Which maybe the rares and majestics have some synergy.
Maybe.
But
I mean, there are some commoner cards that could do that. If you're running like every copy of Amplify the Arknight, every copy of Rune Flash, every copy of Drawn to the Dark Dimension, you could use the book in a way that like you don't care that your attack doesn't swing because you're just going to make so many rune chants. You're going to be playing like Amplifies for free, Rune Flashes for free. But I think you'll have to jump through so many more hoops for that. But you're still better off doing a regular rune play.
Is it for free if you're paying 3?
Yeah, not really. Not really. So yeah, I do think you're just better off doing like a normal Viscerai build or a normal Briar Chain build. Aether Slash. If played non-attack card, it deals 1 arcane damage. So it's singeing Steelblade with more steps.
Yep.
I am very much getting the Everfest Ninja vibes right now, where all the cards are just very mediocre.
I think it does 1 more damage though. I think singeing Steelblade starts at 3.
Singeing Steelblade is the exact same amount. I thought. Let me look at it.
Because I think the blue only does 1.
Reset. So Arcane Crackle does 3-2-1, but costs 0. Is that not how? I thought it was spelled in a weird way.
Nope.
No, it's not that.
Singing Steelblade.
I'm just gonna type Steelblade. Oh god. Or I'm not. Ah! Wait, what? I reset this. Did I not? I reset this. That's what the problem was. I did type it right.
Or did you?
No, I did. It's spelled like that.
Yeah, it is.
Nah, see? Same amount. It's just singeing
okay.
Steelblade with more steps. Yeah, probably not.
Maybe I was thinking of Arcane Crackle then.
Yeah, Arcane Crackle does do 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
But it does cost 0. So that's the catch. The catch 20 is cost less than
So this is essentially another singeing Steelblade.
It's if you're already running all of your singeing Steelblades and want one more.
Yep.
That requires you to do more. Again, this is feeling very Everfest Ninja, because that's what a lot of the Ninja cards in Everfest were.
Yeah.
It was like, they would be good if the class wasn't already broken and had just much better things. Okay, next Runeblade attack action card you play this turn. When this hits, creates 3 rune chants. Is pitched to play this? Okay. Interesting. I don't hate it.
Yep.
I don't super like it either, but I don't hate it. Because I think I'd rather have +3. But if you are going to build Viscerai or any other Runeblade, and you're going to go heavily into Amplify the Arknight, this could be good. Because then instead of pumping a ton of damage, in theory, if you get the rune chance, you're still going to do +3, like your other pump spells will do. But you also just cheapened those cards and made them free. So I could see it in that. But outside of it, I think I probably would rather run a traditional pump spell. For the same reason that we didn't run Electrify a lot. Because that deals +3 if it hits.
Right.
So they could just do normal blocks and it deals nothing. So I think this is kind of in the same vein. The only thing is that it can give +1, which makes it a little bit better. More ways to reveal the top card of your deck and create rune chants.
Yep. Skyfire Lanterns, I think, is a decent card by itself. It is a little odd that it's red, yellow, blue, though. Okay,
I don't hate it. Yeah, it does the same thing for all of them, right?
It's only for red, yellow, blue.
Oh, it has to match whatever the color of the card you play is. Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a little unusual. I think it probably does not make the cut, just because I think it's very inconsistent. That's going to give you a rune chant, and I think that there are just better options. That said, it is a 0-cost go again, not attack action card that, like it can pitch for 3 or 2 or whatever. And that is nice. I think it's just you're probably going to be better off with the other non-attack action cards that cost 0.
I'd have to look it over.
I think it's a good card, but I think this is exactly like Everfest Ninja, where the cards are good. It's just the class is so busted that good isn't good enough. Because like you're not gonna take this over Lead the Charge, for example, which isn't a Runeblade card, but you know.
Seeds of Agony isn't banned still, right?
No, that's free and
they made it playable for us. Yes.
Yep, and I think as we learned, it was not at all a concern in Commoner. It really was not. All right, and then Wizard. Not a huge fan of this.
We get to ponder some orbs.
Yes, we get to make ponder tokens. The one thing is, you can do this as many times per turn as you can, provided you keep giving it go again, because it does not have it by default.
Oh, okay.
So that may be your entire turn is creating that ponder token. Basically what I'm saying is this sucks. It's garbage. It's absolutely awful. Yep. I hate it in every way. Because the whole thing is like, one, I hate these effects where you draw before your end step. Because what's important here is that this does not get around your intellect. It does not give you more cards. When this is going to be best is if you have no cards in your hand, and so you draw one, and then you arsenal it, and then draw 4 more. That's the only time this will be good. Which would be beneficial if you play out your turn and play your cards, and then you activate this with your last 3 resources. And then do that. But here's the problem. Like, you could just arsenal the card you would pitch to activate this. And second, this does not have go again, and is an action, not an instant. Meaning it did take your entire turn just to do this. I hate it. I think Seer Stone is absolutely garbage. I think it's completely bad. I did not notice when we talked about this before filming that it was an action and did not have go again. If it was an action with go again, I think this could be good. Or it could be okay. I think it would be okay.
An instant. That would make it worlds
or
better.
An instant, it would be much better. Problem is, it costs 3, and you've basically just given up your weapon slot when Wizard already has really good weapons for this useless utility.
But you can ponder an orb.
You can ponder an orb, I guess. You could ponder and see a bauble, and then arsenal that bauble that will now never be used.
And if you think about it, a bauble is an orb.
Oh, man. I wanted to see what Brainstorm was, because Brainstorm is a pretty famous card from Magic. I wanted to see what it does. I really like that. That's really cool. Sadly, we don't get to use it, but that might go into my Cano deck that I have, because that's sweet.
You sell out.
Actually, I have to even look at the Cano deck. The Cano deck, I think I have the Legendary Wizard Boots, and I think they're suspended in Blitz now, so I don't think it's even Blitz playable, the Cano deck I have anymore. It's now a completely unplayable... Or it's Ultimate Pit Fighter.
Oh, okay.
It can be just dropped into Ultimate Pit Fighter without any changes. Blessings of Aether. Prognosticate. Okay.
It's a great name.
Oh, okay. I like this.
So I looked at this and I didn't understand, and I think that's because I don't play Wizard.
Okay, yeah, that is true. Okay, so here now the problem is most people will bring an Arcane Barrier against Wizards, so you're not going to get to do the fancy stuff here. But the idea here, one, it's 0 cost, deal 3 damage on red, which is so it's zap.
Yep.
Which is great in and of itself. That's like fine enough to be playable to certain extents. Now Surge, what it's saying is if it deals more than 3 damage, which is more than the damage it does by default, you'll get to opt a card too. So the generic wizard weapon, the original one, is Crucible of Aetherweave, which is the next thing that deals arcane damage, deals that +1.
Okay.
There's also a lot of wizard abilities that do boost your next source of arcane damage.
I had a feeling.
And so this is doable. The problem being that most people do run Arcane Barrier, and all it takes for Crucible is them to use it once, and now you've done exactly 3. But, I mean, I don't hate it. Having a little extra boost that, hey, if you just happen to do more than this card should, you get to opt a card is not bad, especially in Cano, who does care about what's on top.
And the next card is Sap.
Sap.
Not
3.
to be confused with Zap.
I don't know what has energy counters.
Okay, so I'm not the only one that was confused.
Okay. Did I forget something? Is there something that uses energy counters? I assume there's probably something up here that does like energy counters or something.
No.
I am not seeing anything with energy counters here.
The only thought that came to mind is stuff like steam counters.
Yeah, but they're steam counters, not
Yeah.
energy counters.
Oh.
Oh! Okay, so it hurts the legendary chess pieces.
That's so situational.
That is. Why did these pop up? Oh, am I not uncommon anymore?
No, you're not.
Oh,
You
man, so
reset-
this literally is every card in the entire game.
Yep.
Oh, God.
It's just, it only affects those 2 cards.
I mean, Findel Spring Tunic is an incredibly played card outside of
is.
Commoner. So, I mean, I can see why you would do something like that. Especially Wizards often use it, which is very funny. That's why they've printed 2 Wizard chess pieces that are worse than generic options.
I also understand why we didn't know what energy counters
Yes,
were.
because that's not for peasants like us.
Too rich for our blood.
Next card you play with cost 2 or less and an arcane damage effect deals that much +1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I mean, I don't hate it. It has go again. It costs 0. So I don't hate it. I think you could play this in a number of things. I wanted to see the blue one because you do want a lot of blue cards in
Wait. What
Icelander. But
what does the blue one
so
even do?
here's the problem. The blue one's not great. Basically, what each of these colors do is that the next card you play has a
it's
cost
one-
requirement.
Okay.
It's like lead the charge, essentially.
Yeah.
And so the blue one does not work on many cards.
I
in
didn't
Wizard.
read that correctly. I thought it boosted by that much. I was
Yeah,
like, what?
I
How is
wish
boosted
it
by 0?
boosted more.
Yeah.
I wish it boosted more for the higher colors, but I don't hate it.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know if it would fit in the deck because Wizard decks are a little bit tight on cards.
It helps prognosticate. Is that the one I was thinking?
That's
of?
true, but the problem is I don't think these in and of themselves
or
are very
Surge.
playable.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, the people who are most likely to play this is going to be Cano. Because Icelander doesn't play a lot of things that boost damage. And so I don't think she's going to benefit great from Tempest Aurora. And then because she's not going to benefit great from that, then these are also useless.
Right.
But
But I mean, she has her ice versions. Of
and
those
these
anyways.
yeah, and here's the other problem is that you can run a 0 cost in Icelander that just deals a little bit of arcane damage, but you're probably going to use the one that hits any target, whereas these only hit target hero.
Oh,
So you're
okay.
probably not going to use the surge cards for her. Yeah, it's Everfest Ninja, as I'm calling it again. The cards are all by themselves perfectly fine. It's just they're not quite good enough to really make the cut. I
I'm
think.
glad they didn't Everfest Ninja this set's Ninja.
Well, I was glad that they Everfest Ninja'd in Everfest because Ninja was very broken at the time. And I think they did it better in this set because I don't think Ninja is going to be more broken from the new cards in Dynasty, but they are fun cards to build around and play, unlike the ones in Everfest, which were just garbage. So I do think it's better that they did something fun with Ninja.
All I'm thinking of is Wax On.
Yeah, Wax On is just so bad. That is exactly what comes to mind. I do think I was a little bit critical on Everfest during, like, more than I should have been during it, because Twin Twisters ended up being a critical part of our Benji deck afterwards. So I think there were some cool applications of it, but most of them, like Wax On and all, were just kind of medium.
So this is interesting for Illusionist. It's
I wish we got it.
it's a yeah, I know. It's a summon ally that also I think does arcane. Right?
It is a light one, so it makes Soraya, and Soraya banishes a light card from your soul, and if you do, deals 1 arcane damage. Okay, so you can attack with her for 4, And then you can also deal arcane damage. And is that healing? She heals you when she deals damage. That is so neat. I also like this because we have Dromai, who is really built around invokes and all that stuff, but Prism had very little of that. She had one thing that you could play that cost 6, and then your opponent had to attack it. Which, for Phantasm things like that, it does instantly end that attack, so it never connects. So it wasn't totally bad because you could use it to blank people's go again and chains by forcing them to attack it and end their turn.
Okay.
But it was very medium. And this is giving her a cool illusion ally thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, we don't get that because this is legendary.
Yeah. It still looks cool, though.
It does look cool. I wish we got it. Yeah, I assume this is the double side here, and then this is the normal double side.
Probably.
Yeah, it would be really cool to get this card, even though we don't use it in anything. There's an illusionist chest, which we also don't get.
Oh wait, it's interesting that this side has the ability to have rainbow, but this side doesn't.
Oh yeah, that's because this one is cold foil, and then these two are rainbow or cold foil.
Right.
That's what that one is.
I just meant it's like, or is it
because
only double-sided?
This is the flip to this side, so it will
Right.
still be, if this one is rainbow, this will be rainbow. It's not gonna be like half cold foil, half rainbow.
Oh, okay, I see.
Probably, I would presume.
Anyways.
All right, and then one thing we get gloves.
Yeah.
I hate them. I hate them so much. We already have the gloves that removes Phantasm from an attack, and then we have the dragon gloves that make ashes into ash wings. Why would illusionists need another set of gloves?
Because this one creates spectral shields when it's destroyed.
And ward 1, if you'd be deal 1, prevent 1. Yes, so these are trash.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
But they block non-specific damage.
Ah, they do. Yeah, they block 1.
Yep. I still feel better about ward than I do about quell.
Yeah, because you don't have to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, these are trash. I think both illusionists care too much about their gloves for this. I just hate that they keep making them gloves. Just to give them something different. Why couldn't the chest piece have been the rare one? Spectral Prowler. When you play it, if you control a shield, it gains go again.
Yep, and it doesn't do much, really.
Well, the 0 cost is actually not bad.
Yeah.
I could see a world in which you would put this into Prism, because Prism has much more ways to make spectral shields than Dromai. If you control the other one that gains overpower, I could definitely see that one too. That's a lot of power on that one. The Spectral Rider.
Oh yeah, 8.
8 power Phantasm, gains overpower if you have a spectral shield. I think that's another playable one. And then here's some ways to make spectral shields. It's the exact same as the Runeblade card.
Yep. Except they're on the water instead of flying in the sky.
Yeah, true. That is bad. That is bad. There are some other generic ways to make spectral shields, I think, but I didn't put any of them in my Dromai deck. On reflection, though, actually, you know what? I think Waterglow Lanterns is more playable than the Runeblade one.
But
I think I would put red Waterglow Lanterns in Dromai.
I think they really missed out on something on all 3 of these and the others. They should have made this red, yellow, and blue lanterns.
Oh. But then they would have had to pay the artist more money.
It's just a color shift. It's like one click.
That said, I was dismissing these offhand. I think actually Waterglow Lanterns I probably would put in my Dromai deck. This may actually go into my Dromai deck after this. Because you're almost always going to flip a red card and get a Spectral Shield off this. Plus, it's a non-attack action card with Go Again that is red. So you can start your Dromai chain with this and give all of your dragons Go Again. So I think you would actually... I think this can make it into Dromai. But the yellow and blue ones are garbage. Yeah. And Prism's not going to run any of these. But only because Dromai with the red one, like with the Runeblade ones, you're never built around color.
Yeah.
But Dromai, you are built around red. You have so many red card matters things that you're built around having mostly red cards. So you are highly likely to hit the flip.
Well, maybe you'll make or maybe, you make a red Runeblade deck.
Maybe.
Why not?
I can think of a lot of reasons why not, but...
What about the Briar deck?
Yes, maybe. Maybe you could put it in the Briar deck.
0 cost.
Were we looking for more non-attack action cards in the Briar deck,
no
though?
idea. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the only problem I see.
I'm just saying it would,
and then Spectral Rider is good
fit
in Prism.
thematically.
That said, I do think that this is good enough to put into a Dromai deck, but I don't think I would put any of these other pieces with it. Maybe Spectral Prowler, the red one, but I don't think Dromai wants something this expensive.
Yeah.
This being 0 does make it a little bit better, but it would only work with the Water Glow Lanterns.
Right.
Prism has a lot of attacks, and so Prism can banish things from her soul to make a Spectral Shield. It is a little bit expensive, but could be worth it. I think it's an instant to do that. And then she does have a number of attacks that make Spectral Shields, too, just as a part of the Light Illusionist kit.
Okay.
So I think you could get away with running Spectral Prowlers and Spectral Riders in her deck already. So it'd just be a matter of looking at if there's some attacks that you can make better by replacing them with these. And I think there's a decent chance there are. But yeah. And Spectral Shield just has Ward 1. Which means like this Water Glow Lanterns, even without these synergy pieces, that's just going to make Dromai absorb some damage. So, not bad.
On to generic.
Generics. We have a Crown of Dominion that we don't get.
Yep.
That would make things
royal.
royal. Now we get 2 new generic rare pieces of equipment.
One of them's okay, and one of them's trash.
Yeah, one of them is, I think, okay is a way to put it. It's not great. It's definitely not great. The big thing here is I'm not sure if there is a deck I would put Ornate Tessin in.
I think I put it in the Katsu deck just because it's new.
Okay. So I could see a world in which we build Crouching Tiger, Benji, Katsu. And maybe you could do this outside of the Crouching Tiger version too. But you could do a world in which you have double Kodachi for both of them. And then you have Arcane Lantern and Ornate Tessin as your sideboard cards. And then you could always be like Kodachi and Tessin. I say specifically Crouching Tiger because we did mention how things like Hope Merchant's Hood would be better in Crouching Tiger Benji for helping you to find the pieces. And this would help you do that.
The only downside to that thought is that the new ninja equipment is also a rare. The one that boosts Crouching Tiger.
Yeah, so you could always do like the combo gloves. Or you just don't run Arcane Lantern.
True.
And you just run Ornate Tessin. But you could do the combo gloves with that and not be super punished for that. And maybe you would do that in the Benji one. Because, I mean, Crouching Tiger, boosting it to 2 still makes it unblockable because of the base 0. Doesn't matter. But with Benji, I think you really do love hitting them with huge combo attacks that are unblockable. So being able to pump those would be fine, too.
Is this more... I guess this is just a less version of Hope Merchant's Hood, right?
Yeah, so it's a weaker version because it only gets you 1 card. And also no, Hope Merchant's the same way. It's Ragamuffins that lets you see the card and then choose.
Yeah, so this is actually less than Ragamuffin too.
Yes, in a way. I think Ragamuffins, is that an instant or is that an action?
I think it's an instant.
Also, Ragamuffins does have a requirement. You do have to have only 1 card in hand. Whereas Ornate Tessin, you can activate at any time.
That is true.
So, and then obviously they're different slots. You're actually probably running both.
It's an instant.
It is an instant, okay. And it's free. Whereas this costs 1.
Yep.
But I do think, I think you're right. I think Ninja is like the one place where you might consider this as an offhand. Just because they are so dependent on combo. I would say Assassin would also be one, but you already used both your rare slots with the knives.
Yep, and I feel like it's...
I think you'd rather have 2 knives than knife and fan. Although that is very funny to picture the Assassin with a knife and a fan in one hand. You know what the sad thing with the assassin is? I don't think we got any equipment outside of the weapons. So,
No,
yeah.
I don't think so.
And then, finally, the other new piece of rare equipment, we have completed the Spellfray set.
Yeah.
We have Spellfray Tiara.
And it's just as garbage as all the other spells.
Yes, but we can get it in cold foil now.
Okay.
That doesn't do it for you?
No, because I mean, even if you have that, who's going to buy it? You're not going to use it. You're going to sell it, but no one's going to buy it.
It's awful. The artwork looks cool, though.
It does.
I mean, to be fair, all of the Spellfray, aside from the chest piece, the chest piece looks stupid, but
Yep.
these, the gloves and the legs and the hat, they have all really cool artworks. And I bet the cold foil version of this looks really sick.
It better.
Yeah, especially considering that I'm going to buy probably one booster box of the set, and that will be the cold foil that comes in that box. It will be Spellfray Tiara. I'm calling the shot now. And then everything else is majestic, so we don't get the other royal cards, or I guess they're not royal cards, but they're royal relevant somewhat.
Yep. It's unfortunate that gold is not cold foil or gold foil.
I think
There might-
was cold foil gold in Everfest?
I don't know.
Maybe not. Why isn't this in cold foil? Because I think Everfest was the cold foil silvers.
Did they have cold foil silvers?
I think so. Because I think they may have had cold foil copper in Crucible, in which this should then have gold in cold foil. But maybe gold or cold foil gold was in Everfest. And then Ponder you can get in rainbow foil. Woo-hoo. And
Hooray.
this sweet fabled Command and Conquer.
Is that a different art for silver?
No,
Okay.
it's the same thing. These are the same artworks that they've had for both. And then Spellbane Aegis that we don't get.
Yep.
But,
And ponder that we don't like.
yeah. True.
And gold we technically can't use.
I don't think there's anything in Commoner that creates gold yet, anyways. But there are things that create silver, as we've seen. The Assassin creates lots of silver.
Yep.
Way more silver than Cavdane creates copper.
And I think it's not something that we get, but I think one of the things draws you gold instead of silver.
Oh, maybe.
One of the generic ones.
Create a copper token. If you're royal, create gold
That's
instead.
what it is.
Yep.
Yep. But
Yeah.
we don't get that still.
That said, this may be the supplement set I'm the most excited for out of all the ones we've seen. I really liked Crucible of War because of all the Ultimate Pit Fighter relevant things, like
Yep.
Promise of Plenty and all that. But we don't really play any Ultimate Pit Fighter. And this is really cool for
That was more
Commoner.
circumstantial, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas this, I will say, this set is really cool for Commoner. We got a whole new class that actually looks fun.
And we can use it.
And we can use it. And every part of it is relevant to a certain degree. Because, like, even the silver we can benefit from. Like, pay 3 to draw a card is not wholly irrelevant.
Nope.
If you've got, like, a bad hand, you would do that.
Yeah, you can pitch a card.
Yeah. Yep. And when we got a cool new way to build Ninja that may actually be good. It like, testing required, but may actually be good.
I do like it.
And I don't think it's like a Ninja nightmare where we're gonna be like, we hate Ninja a couple months from now because it's like stupid broken. I don't think it's gonna be stupid broken.
Maybe outside of Commoner.
I think it's gonna be a little bit harder to pull off. Yeah, maybe outside of Commoner where you got all the other Crouching Tiger Matter stuff. But in Commoner, I think it's not going to be super broken. I think it will probably be something that's a little inconsistent.
I think it's
but
still
great when it pulls off.
I think it's still better than Phase mechanics, where it's draconic chain links.
Possibly. I think Fae may be better just because I think Draconic's overpushed. I think the cards are really, really good.
True. Yeah, and there were more of them, I think.
We have to play Fae more, but a lot of people seemed worried about Fae when he came out, and I can see why.
Yep.
Whereas I don't think Crouching Tiger is going to be immediately problematic, but I think It's a lot of reward for the risk.
I don't think we've gotten to play, or at least
have
I haven't
not.
gotten
We've
able
not.
to play with my Fey deck.
You've not played with your Fey deck. I have
built
not
it.
played with my Dromai
Yep.
deck. I have not played with my Icelander deck,
Yep.
which is almost entirely foiled out, I think.
Oh god.
Yeah, so we do need to play those. We need to
Ooh.
build the assassin too.
Reminds me, I took some
Build
cards
Bravo.
out of the Fey deck and put them in the Briar deck
Oh, you
for Halloween.
did the
Yeah.
equipment,
Yes.
right? I think, yeah. There was something we were missing. But we'll have to fix that.
It might have been Snapdragon
But yeah.
Scalers or something like that.
So, if anyone else has some cool ideas, or you think we're undervaluing some of these cards, let us know in the comments. Be happy to discuss that with everyone. And if you like Commoner, enjoy our content, subscribe, leave a like, and you're almost certainly going to see a Building Assassin episode in the near future.
Hopefully next episode.
Yeah, it will almost certainly be, probably, unless something really crazy comes out between now and then.
Which I don't think so.
I doubt it. Yeah. All right. Well, then, thanks everyone for watching.
See you next time.